Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I welcome you to having your priorities set correctly for this wonderful Sunday evening as we will witness two teams going against each other in the fourth week of ETF2L European Team Fortress 2 League, as it is the preliminary round, basically almost the last week, as we have shorter seasons these days. On Galliwash, we will start off with having inVision against Feila Esports, as we'll watch them tonight, as inVision are still unbeaten, still do remain unbeaten in the season, as the other opposite side does remain unbeaten still as well tonight. So meaning we have two teams with 100% win record, even though inVision did lose some points along the way, while I don't think Feila have lost any points. So we'll definitely see how this will work out, as both maps that we are playing tonight actually do allow the opportunity for a tie. So we will play a Galliwash first, and after that there will be coal plant, so some 5CP and some King of the action, as we'll gladly see that one happening on our screens right now, as Wiethoofd is catching, as always, unsturdy in the background with his camera not shaking, and catching all the action for you tonight, as my co-caster for tonight will bring you the Irish tones from the little island that you have sometimes maybe missed in geography, but it's right next to UK. So as my co-caster for tonight, it is Gamma. Good evening.
I really want to start off by just saying top of the morning in the most dramatic accent I possibly can, but I think I'll stick clear of copyright issues, maybe. I don't know. I'm hyped, man. This is the peak of Highlander in Europe. Two best teams in the division duking it out. Whoever wins this is probably going to top the league at the end of the season. You always want that number one seed going into playoffs.
We have quite close. We have had quite the close season on our hands so far. Since I feel like, I mean, as we said, like we have two teams that are kind of unbeaten, but they have lost points across the season. I think Feila still do kind of emerge a bit on the top more as inVision, so maybe they are the slight favorites for tonight. But yeah, I mean, what you said, like we have a bit closer competition these days, so just straight off the block, so the people can flame you easier. You can clearly state your prediction right now, so everyone can hear.
Come on now, I don't want to be getting favourites already. No, to be fair, I think everyone would expect Feila to probably come out on top of this one, just because of their experience, the fact that they've played together so much. You know, all of that does add up, particularly on maps like Galliwash, where teamwork is quite important. But inVision have been sweeping all that come before them thus far, and I think they're more than capable of an upset tonight, I think, but it would be an upset if they were to win.
I mean, looking at their kind of record, even considering like last week, they kind of toppled SDCK, even though maybe not putting in the performance that some players have expected them before the season. So they definitely do have the potential, as we've been saying. As they dropped like 2 points, I feel like, against Kitty in the first round, and then last round against SDCK. But as we were saying, they won, and they were not looking like the favorites in the start of the season. So the comprised squad of Stinghand will show us. They're just connecting to the server right now. I don't think they have 100% swapped what classes is represented by what player on inVision, but I think we all have the Feila roster. Gamma, would you please tell us a fun fact about every player?
Oh, I don't know about that. I'll try my best. We've got Crayon on Scout, who is probably he makes up for me playing basically in representing the Irish nation. Pretty good Scout.
The largest individual in the server currently.
Fantastic. We've middle on Soldier, sometimes called included middle, depending on where you get your information. We have V-Clocks on Pyro, who apparently hates the Spicicle. That's just something I've heard before the season starts. We have Joe NUFC on demo. JOEYOTECH Feila, of course, is their current name, named after him. We've Poker on Heavy, very experienced heavy main. Spamfest coming all the way from the US of A on the engineer class. Feila Layla on medic. Procky, Porky, however you want to say it, on sniper, and Spy of the Season Mezzo.
Yeah, I mean, there you have it, team. I'm quite surprised. Did Crayon play the entire season for them? I feel like they swapped some players out. I haven't seen Crayon, but apparently he has come back. Always done well for them in the past. I feel like that, like, the most important thing is always when the new season starts to watch their flank, how much they can do, because if they are coordinated, then that's basically ripped for most of the teams, because it's just hell of a lot damage coming in by Joe alone, and then the flank just comes in. Yeah, we're still waiting. I think they're missing one player on the inVision side. I can try so far, though. It should be Worry, as you should worry about him, because he has been around the block for a long time, you know, and on the scout class can definitely put in the damage numbers. Then, let's see, Rest is probably, yeah, Pyro main. I noticed that one. It's German Pyro as well. They are no bias involved. Pretty good. Then we have Menti, Mentalix. He must have played for, well, he played for Feila before, but now he's playing for inVision, so some rivalry. Let's see if he can get Red a bit more, you know, because they are used to playing with him, so let's see how it will turn out playing against him. Tertio, that's gonna be probably on Medic. Yeah, must be, because we also have Demos, who is their default merc, I have heard, on the demo class, so he's literally named after the demo, you know, and he's been pounding the season, I heard. Then Tertio and Medic. Stinghan is representing the team tonight. I don't know if he's actually the main sniper or something, but he is definitely the manager, so he's on sniper tonight. It definitely opens up some room for proper and polite memes. Nipnop on the engineer class, and Evil, that is a very interesting. I think that's American as well, probably playing something replaceable. I don't know what class.
He's
probably
on the backstabber man.
What?
He's coming over here with his baguettes to stab them in people's backs. Is Evil.
I mean, when we open up the scoreboard, I can already see 3 people with very inflated ping. So, welcome to European ETF2L League, even though we're happy about every American joining in, obviously. And then we have the last guy who just joined in, which is Detoed or Detoed, or however you want to call it. There are a ton of pronunciations of this name. I was told it means children eater. I do not trust this information. I'm going to get to know it to you anyway. So, yeah, there we have this squad. You go for Feila, I go for the underdogs. That's how I always do. I ruin my prediction rate, but it doesn't matter.
Hey, at least you can have a little bit of integrity. Me, I've sold out. I just go straight for the favorites every time. What can I say? And on that, segueing in nicely, we have a straw poll going in chat to see who you think is favorites. So do check it out. Put in your vote. See what you guys think. You're the experts, not us.
Yeah,
we just talk fast.
Well, and even if it's not our mother tongue, that doesn't matter. You just make up some words sometimes, and then it just sounds really fluently, you know. But we have to watch these teams going against each other, because you vote now before we give you the strats talk. Even though you people and you viewers should definitely be very, very knowledgeable in these strategies these days. If you have followed Kritzcast covering all this action, so it is Gullywash. It is basically we have 6 players, so we have Normally I say we win, but I would say like they both have 6 players, so I would say the people with the better 6 players win tonight.
Perhaps so. I would wager as well that having a Merc demo, albeit one you're probably familiar with, you played with and against every now and then, having an unfamiliar member of the combo can hurt your rotational speed and how you react to things on a map like Gullywash. For Cold Plant, which is the second map, of course, it doesn't matter quite as much. But for Gully, having that sense of, you know, trusting where people will be at the right times can be a little bit off when you have mercs. And for a match of this magnitude, it's a bit unfortunate that they have to resort to that.
I don't even know who's main calling for them. Like on Layla and Feila, it's quite obvious. It is a Joe, or sometimes Layla, even if she raises her voice. We are going down the countdown, but it is on inVision. I'm not 100% sure. Like usually Demos does a main call, but not if he's a merc. I could imagine so, but yeah. Bear with us as we are going into the first mid fight. Both teams are rolling out through their big doors. It seems only Joe is coming from their choke, and Demos and Joe are completely equal as this first mid fight is going to take off.
Joe's getting hyper aggressive here. They're just basically running right into their big door. Look and see what they can get done. Crayon's going to be burned down by Rez, but he's going to die because of middle. The kills are going pretty much in the way of Feila at the moment. They just took really good positioning. Mezzo comes in, gets an important kill on Demos, and now Tercio and Wiethoofd are so stuck. Wiethoofd really weak. Tercio should probably just hit the suicide point. Got Uber with the soul. Can Tercio escape?
He could have waddled his way out there. I don't know what he's doing. He's still getting chased. Okay, there he goes. Suicides. Didn't he? Oh no, he backed up to his spawn. Never mind me. He tried to waddle his way out. There we come. Spamfest with the engineered strategies, jumping into river. This is what he does. They do spot the spy there. Evil going into almost getting Trickster. Probably. Anyway, so he tried to go for the cheeky spot, but it doesn't matter. So there is now full 100% to push into this, but it was poker.
Losing your heavy is going to slow things down. A lot of teams nowadays like to send their heavy underneath the point to come up onto the point when they're pushing like this. So they're probably going to want to wait. Nope. Caster's Curse, in they come. In on Demo and Pyro. V-Clock's just trying to get onto that point as quickly as he can. Try and reflect people off it, but Wiethoofd can just drop onto it and murder him. But now there's a spy on the point, nobody's shooting it, and Mezzo gets the cap.
They would have won. Yeah, they would have won that. They kind of finally, like we've seen this strategy being abused and kind of V-Clocks being abused for that matter so often now by Feila and just getting this cap, you know, like getting so much cap time and essentially just capping it out. But this time they actually had hit scan classes to kill a Pyro, which is definitely what you need to do in the scenario. But after that, there were only like the spam classes and they were too far away from the point, so Mezzo just swoops in and that makes it early 1-0 as the second mid-fight does start with a mega bomb from Menti into his own choke.
It looks like Joe and Middle are doing the same thing that they did last time, where they just basically walk into the enemy big door if they can, but positioning here is looking pretty bad for Feila. They're all kind of grouped up. They're starting to walk across the point now. Vuri's just edging the cap wherever he can. Mezzo's been spotted out. Menti is like 2 HP under the point. What are you doing, man? Trying to fight all and everything, but they're just losing everyone. Standing in sight lines. Procky on the 3k. Very nice mid for Feila, and the momentum is rising.
Insanely decisive, honestly. Like, they just stood there and they didn't run any risk of losing anyone. Then Mezzo just came in, killed Stingen, and after that it was literally opened up for Poke. He just got one headshot on combo member, and then Tercio tried to back out, but he just got the close clutch shot right onto him. So that basically makes this a second push onto the last point with another 70% advantage, probably through river. So inVision have to back up their strategies, as they do have a sticky trap close. Nobody detonates though, now too late. Yeah, but they got a sniper. That's something.
Again, it's in the same situation as last time. They have the full Uber charge. They're looking to go under the point with it this time. They've definitely been sighted, and Layla's lost a lot of her health getting in here, but they're just going to Uber onto the point, keep the heavy on Ubered whenever possible. Rez is just going to walk at them, reflect them back off the point. I don't know about this strategy.
Well, it's literally we watch each other as Pyros exist in the game, and they actually do get the upper hand here. And there's only V-Clocks. They need to kill V-Clocks, and they should be looking in good shape. They can still trap them off. They're still in under, and Menti comes in. 2 clean rockets onto Layla, and she's getting put into the respawn queue as they fought off nicely one last push, and that definitely gives me the hope of this not being a whitewash, as they adapted quite decisively, as they Uber right now on a ranked level 1 sentry gun.
They can do it because everyone's just respawned and walked into them here. They're going to maybe take mid off this? No, they're going to want to back out because there was a few forward respawns there. Layla actually despawned. Probably smart. Would have been trapped in there with only 3 people alive. They're going to get mid pretty much for free, but Ubers at the very least have been rescued.
Menti is mega carrying right now. He's on a 5k. He's literally just jumping forward constantly and getting these frags. Double sticky trap kills Porky and Joe by demos. That got to Sting, man. And now they can literally push. Not even probably with this Uber advantage, because there is none, because Ubers are equal. But they probably, if they are fast, they can push with having Soldier Frag, which is a great deal because you can walk in without taking early damage.
I think they probably want to be a little bit careful with their positioning here, because it can be easy to get caught out here. But what they've actually done is given Stingen the space to get a kill on Joan. There's everyone underneath the point, and they can just walk into it without an Uber because of that important kill on Joe. Really nice work from Stingen.
They just got surrounded there. I mean, Stingen had got this early frag, but after that like Demos just had the mega good angle for his stickies to come off. Like they're making work with their spam classes really nicely. It's quite interesting to see just so heavy swings, so it makes it 1-1 and quite decisively for each team. So not so much just heads going against each other. As there is the third mid fight, the Spy gets spotted early as he's going below the point. Evil that has always watched Spy as a Spy main, and there's still nothing happening. Like they are so weak, and Menti goes down. He's the first casualty.
I don't know what the hell they're doing with Middle and Crayon. They just invade Big Door every single time, and now there's pretty much no one left here. They're going to lose Porky. Layla is trying to hightail it out of there. Will not be chased and will survive, but has a massive disad and almost no friends at all. But they do have Middle and Crayon still behind them with Mezzo, and they're going to have to clear these people up before pushing forward. Oh, that meat shot from Vuri.
That mid fight though, like this flank is just going behind into Victor all the time, and then Mezzo just danced around the midpoint, and it's basically we have 3 of our flank classes behind you. They do look very forward right now, get the second cap, get Poker down, and still have 15% advantage. Probably not enough to, like Feila will have once they push, but they still have these frags, you know, they're looking quite good here, but Poker will probably spawn in time, so they will just try normally with this river push.
Middle was just swinging that whip around and accidentally found Evil. It was Evil just kind of looked at him like, are you for real, man? What was that? He manages to escape somehow. But it was the most brilliant piece of accidental spy checking I've ever seen in my life.
Well, that's literally what happens as a spy main, I can tell you that one. Like, it's literally, like, the people afterwards probably put that in their frag moves and claim that was completely on purpose, but in essence it's literally people just swinging around their weapons as they get bored. They get Menti, that's a really good early pick, but it's still all gonna be for naught, as, like, the flanks are kind of, like, the teams have very, very strict positions to fight for, which is basically we stand in our river and the other team just doesn't want to pick out too much. They did get Menti, but he'll probably spawn in time, so they're really, really complacent here, both teams, honestly.
No one wants to make too rash of a decision. They allowed Stingen to peek a huge amount. Almost got the shot on Layla, but Layla luckily keeps her head this time and her charge. They're starting to send the troops underneath the point. Wiethoofd is really weak already. They've Ubered in really, really early, but everyone's being blasted around, and it's just a solo Pyro Uber trying to find someone, anyone to burn. He'll do. The Russian levitating him into the air. Wiethoofd just about burns out. Mezzo gets Tercio. Fantastic bit of skill from him.
Yeah,
and they're just losing everyone.
I love hitboxes are completely skill dependent. That's why some players get more backstabs than other players. They are trying to push out right now because they do have the fix right now as Foggy gets Menti down as well. Goodbye, my old friend, because they have been playing together, as I was saying, but they are reading the aggression from the flank a bit better now. They do move towards their choke. They have this 40% advantage, and it should definitely favor them, as they just have to watch out for Stingen, who is in their choke, and Stingen is really good at A, managing shots, or B, managing his players. We'll see right now what is more the scenario, as they're trying to push this in. Res is flung up into the air, Stingen goes down, Mezzo as well, but just this aggression here, Gamma, they're all dying.
And as they were walking forward, there was a spy behind them, and now they had to fight on 2 fronts. Everyone is weak, and honestly they're going to want to get out of here. Menti came up through drop down, but there was no one actually there. They're losing their flank pretty heavily. I would not stay here, boys, because there's a flank or a combo coming in through your flank. Wiethoofd fighting Joe. Layla's so weak, is going to be forced, and they're going to want to try and get Tercio out here. I think they will. Joe going absolutely ham, destroying Demos, but if they don't get Tercio here, this could be disastrous.
Oh, they get flanked about really good there from Victor, but they actually salvaged that one, as Joe is on his 6k, he's just piping everything, he's on his 7k. He's completely annihilating people because he was just watching. This is still a spy, call a spy, someone, and now comes the repush. Like, I was just about to compliment players, but then they get the spy like 2k and then they just walk forward, but it's still gonna be a cap for them. I do have to question this though, but they can probably contest this or just repush after they cap.
There's no demo here, so they can just kind of walk through the choke if they want. The Uber kind of failed on their half, but now they're all just collapsing on them. Layla's going to die to Menti coming in through drop down, I believe it was. Now Middle leaves there as well, but they're starting to lose everyone as well because of the work that Middle and the rest of the flank have been doing in the background. And once more, some poor communication from a team leads to them losing half their team.
You literally just have to watch like one choke door. Like this is literally people just choking 2 or 3 times through a choke door, you know? Like just backwards and forwards all the time, and the third time now it does favor Feila, so they're looking on a kind of comfortable perch as they're on the brink of pushing last, but the kind of Ubers are equal, so we'll just have to see. What you need to do in these situations right now is to have pick classes, like literally just as I was about to say that. Sorry for the hiccup, I saw Mezzo creeping up on demos, so you just have to rely on your pick classes to get the openings, or you just get something with coordinate aggression. Evil is in river though, onto middle. You see, like, pick classes usually do that, but I mean spies are very, very suspendable as well.
Yeah, life for a life, isn't it? And I'm telling you something, I'd trade a spy for a demo pick any day of the week. It looked like Layla just didn't want to go out with that advantage, having the demo. The Uber is actually going to come out and lobby here, seeing if they can get Layla. Joe is alive on 8 HP, he finally picked off by the pistol, but Layla lives with 100% charge, and they have people behind them. Crayon and Poker? Yeah, it was Poker, in on the point. They managed to collapse onto it, and in the background, while I was looking at that, Layla dies to something. Headshot.
She got headshot, yeah. What to the kill bind?
Big stuff.
Basically, same thing. So they are pushing out right now. They actually had like mega long respawn, but on Vision, sorry, on Feila, but they actually got into the positions once again, and they are still fighting towards us. They do let them get the cap. They did get a scout frag and a sniper frag, so they're not going to stop here. I'm quite like, I was confused that they didn't like push forward a bit more. Now they lose Poker, so it's probably not going to be favoring them as they lose their main anchor of health. So this will settle out, and inVision can probably push mid, or actually fight for a second, or not. Okay. Okay, now they come.
This is all very questionable. Demos is going to get Layla at the very least, but there's just players all over the place there. I think both teams just want to take a minute just to say, okay, where the hell is everyone? We need to be on the same page here. It looked like inVision were trying to clear middle out of river, and because of that they lost a lot of players at choke, and it got very messy, man.
Yeah, just ring-a-rosing around. That's, by the way, a really good strategy. If you don't want the enemy team to predict your movement, it's just don't have any plan to your movement. There comes a spy jumping onto Sting, and from the second point, just in the nick of time, decloaking and getting the sniper frag, as there was some ring-a-rosing around before, as people are writing funny things in chat as people are getting backstabbed. Poki dies as well, so literally, like, this game has just been, we rotate into interesting positions and then the spies do something, and now Demos is killing everything. Everything.
If you look at the scoreboard, it tells you everything. Evil and Mezzo are carrying the hell out of this game. Another Uber charge coming out from Tercio. Layla had just died, but there's players behind them. Poker killed Wiethoofd in a 1v1 in choke, and manages to pull half their team back to deal with them. Now Vclox has walked through. He's only been called out now. He's walking in on Tercio, who's going to burn out. And at the very last second, Crayon walking through as well, seeing what he can get done. And they're actually going to get this cap out of absolutely nothing.
I mean, they do get this cap out of, we have a Pyro that has a left mouse click and it's not been rubbed off yet, you know, that is what enables you to push into this last. They even get the flank before that and the sniper as well, so that should definitely be a last push for them. I mean, they even lost, oh sorry, no, it was on the offensive phase that lost the players, never mind me. They did get Tercio though, so they have 30% advantage. Feila can probably just build this, Poker goes down, but like there's so much aggression just going in this river, flooding in literally, you know, they're still fighting towards their positions. Menti tries to do something here, he's getting piped though, and they're just exchanging frags, and Layla's advantage has went down to 20%.
That was a bit of a scary moment there. I wouldn't like to be in that river area when you have both soldiers and both demos exchanging hate. My god, there is absolute destruction going on there. Both teams needing to back up a bit, heal up a bit, and go at it again. Looks like Menti and Middle exchange frags on each other, but there's people on the point. Crayon just walks onto it, and nothing is done about it.
But it was, they used their Uber onto the demo and onto Vclox, who jetpacked into the entire combo, and I mean, if you have a, like, I wouldn't say overpowered class, but you know, if you just have a Pyro close range into your face with 260 HP getting flashed again, and literally just being into 5 players, then you have to Uber on a lot of players, and you're just so completely distracted there that you just allow this quick cap to go off. Look at Wiethoofd, he jetpacked into their choke and got demos, and Worry dies on the back end of that as well. I mean, they do get the pick onto Layla. Right now it's only against aggression, we have more players alive and heals.
Tercio's stuck alone. They managed to surround them using the flank and the combo. That's incredible play from Wiethoofd, who said Pyro is a skill-less class. When you can use unlocks just like that. They still have Menti behind them. They're going to have to clear him up. He actually gets the kill on Crayon. Todd's accepts his death to the hands of Wiethoofd. Bit of BM never hurt anyone.
That is what you can see in the animes that you probably watches. That is how you celebrate after you get the, to praise the anime lords. They do get the frag there onto the sentry gun. Nipnop's sentry gun is going down. It's only a mini sentry though, so it's quickly going to be rebuilt. There's nothing literally happening right now. It's only Mezzo who tried to get cheeky Captain Poker down this point. I don't know if they actually know. Now they spotted him. Demos gets juggled into the air. Crayon dies, and they try to get the aggression in. It was kind of hesitant. Like, sometimes when they do the aggression, it's like, I fear sometimes just the aggression that they do as if it's aggression, but it's actually not aggression, I'm missing vocabulary, but it's just for the viewer's sake, but in the end they just want to play passive.
It's like they want to commit to it, but they don't want to commit to it, and then they get kind of caught in a bit of two minds, and they lose players because of it, because half the players commit and the other half don't. They lost Mezzo, Poker, and a few others there because of their little bit of hesitancy. But because inVision came in, they wanted to push that. Obviously, they had the numbers advantage. They lost Demos immediately to Porky, and that just slowed everything down. The entire team of Feila is walking through Big Door here now with an Uber. Exchange coming out.
Finally aggressive flashing here, what we see in Big Door. There come the steps now. Poker and everything dies. Two pick classes who completely carry you. Layla dies as well to Worry, just coming in from the flank, getting 2k. And they literally get everyone. It's only Middle and Lilypad up and Spamfest that is, and they are going to push onto the midpoint. And what I want to say, they're pretending, to be aggressive. Like, they're trying to fool the enemy team. It's like, oh, look at us, we are so aggressive, and they try to bait them into their aggression. But this time, both teams actually went head to head, and we see who that one favored, the one with the pick classes that have better headsets.
As well as that, he kind of, I don't know. Personally, if I were going to push Big Door, I wouldn't bring my entire team with me, because the amount of flashing that Layla had to do, it's just not conducive to having a good Uber exchange like that, because Tercio could just keep it on his Pyro, reflect everything, burn anyone who wasn't flashed, and it just led to everyone dying in a very confined area.
But
you never want to be like that.
That's the secret. Do you really want everyone to be a medic main before they can play anything else? Mezzo does whiff the step there in lobby onto this medic. Almost got the job as they're pushing from main right now. As strategy never seen as they push into a wrangled level 2 sentry gun. Poker dies, Worry dies. They are just equal exchanges right now. They try to get rest onto the last one. There's still Menti. Kill Menti or you don't win this as, wow. Just in a nick of time they actually do trade the players, and it's 4 players against 3 players right now, so it is a clutch time, but I think the team with like a Pyro that will never let hold of Mouse 1 will win with a sentry gun.
Oh, Evil went for Wiethoofd, was like 10 HP, just took out his gun, put on his big boy pants and gunned him down, but completely forgot that the sentry exists. Otherwise he would have had that back cap in the bag. There's no one else nearby at all. He would have definitely gotten that for free.
You need to stay closer to the left wall there because the sentry can't watch it. That is a basic Team Fortress 2. Maybe the angles are different in NA. They're kind of trying to do something here from River, as there's only the flank currently watching forward as Evil is getting his evil way into Shadow, as they're trying to get the spam here and trying to get a bit cheeky and sneaky and lure them into some sense of safety, as Joe gets headshot and they just completely collapse onto that last pad. It forces Layla to get onto that. As only Menti, they do get a lot of frags. They're probably going to see off this cap just by this aggression alone.
That's fantastic play. That's how you play Gully Wash nowadays. You send half your team underneath the point when the enemy team isn't looking, and then you just bait them onto the point, bomb it with your soldier, and suddenly everyone's dead, and you get a point for free. But they didn't pull it off perfectly the time before that, going through main of all things with an Uber charge. But now it's 2-2, tied up with 10 minutes left.
It's now the 5th mid fight already. This game has not been saved. There comes Wiethoofd once again, sniffing demos out and getting the reflect. His middle gets headshot in their choke from Stinghand, from Victor. They are going to wreck Stinghand apart though for his sins as Mezzo swoops and Crayon dies to the scout fight on the flank. And they're just literally equal exchanges, just trades coming in. One red player is dying, then one blue player is dying, and now Worry gets reflected down, and it's probably going to be mid-fight one for Feila, because they actually fought for their choke a bit more decisively, and they got their Pyro to kill flank.
That was a very good aggressive mid-fight from Feila. They managed to get their positions really quick. They managed to lock Demos out of the point altogether, and then their flank can just collapse on the enemy combo, force them out as well, and slowly but surely they'll be able to get the cap like that. Going to want to be careful though to keep Feila alive.
Well, what you call in the scenario is just we walk forward, but we only have to watch out for hiders and for pick classes. They are being watched though in river. There is the little dot from Stinghand on the wall. They do use really early to compensate for that. There's still this level 2, like they don't get any frags whatsoever, and as I was being told by Superior 6's classes, this is how you win this last point holding, because you literally just don't need to fall victim for this initial Uber push, and then you basically just fight for your positions. Tertio gets stabbed though in the back end, and now come the flank classes once again. Everyone dies, so many frags coming in. It's only Worry against a scout and a spy, and 2 players win against 1 player. So 6's players lied to me, because they didn't lose anyone initial to the push, you know, but after that they basically got completely wrapped around.
I mean, it doesn't really matter if you don't get players of the Uber, as long as you can bait them to stand on the point, and that's exactly what happened. As soon as they're standing on the point, it's a very small area. Just get your players shooting that small area, they're all going to die eventually. I've never seen a triple wave kind of push before, but it worked for them this time, as Demos is actually trying to go for an aggro push himself. Almost gets V-Clocks down, but they're losing everyone to the spam from Joe. Just everyone's so weak. Tertio absolutely annihilated by Porky. Menti's going to win a soldier 1v1 of sorts against middle with the help of Evil, and actually the frags are starting to slowly be pulled back in their favour, but it's only really a spy and an engineer left alive. What can they really do?
At least as a salvaging factor for the inVision side, they did get later down as well to a body shot from Sting, so it could have looked way worse for them, but they're not feeling comfortable here fighting for the second fight. They actually switched to the crit streak as the almighty man in my ear tells me, so we are just watching. They are actually fighting for the second fight. I really like this. They are taking a bit more initiative. Feila does change the crits, that is, because we can see how the rates are faster building on his side, as there's literally only Tertio sitting into his river side. I mean, they do contest the second point, I like this, but they have to watch out that they don't get completely blindsided by the crits from Victor.
Because of Tertio's position, I don't actually think they know it's crits, because it really, if it was crits, Evil apparently just saw him, but if it was crits, I'd want to be on high ground as soon as possible. They're actually getting really aggressive here in Big Door. They almost have Uber themselves. That window for using crits is completely worn off, and yeah, they do use the crits now. They only really get Worry with it, but they are forcing a huge amount of flashes from Tertio. But it doesn't really matter.
Menti knocks himself up onto everyone and flies to the other side of the map just to crater. And the thing about the crits is though, it doesn't even need to drop the medic, as Tertio is high up in the air. He's getting pistoled down there, he dies to Crayon. Just sharp as ever, clawing that one back with his pencil and, you know, pencil jumping. Killing people in the air. Demos is still into his choke. He's really weak. He dies as well. With the crits, they even get the medic now just with this aggression. The crits itself, you don't even need to get the drops, you know. If you just have your medic survive, you basically just have a better Uber percentage all the time. And Spamfest is going forward, flying towards the choke, getting early cap time, and they did deny Menti jumping in.
Menti got annihilated. That was hilarious. Just had the entire team ready and waiting for him. And as a soldier in that sort of position, it's just... You just resign to your fate. You know you're going to die. You know it's going to be put in someone's frag movie. You just kind of gotta go with it. Great pipes from Joe.
Yeah, just have your movement to look like you definitely did succumb to your fate anyway. There is so much aggression once again on this last point. They get a 4 or 3k. Joe's getting everything. He's on a 8k. He kills everything, and they do get the cap as Crayon gets it with his last dying breath. He dies on that point, he gets the cap, and Joe gets a 5k. So, interesting passage of play. This is basically a Feila playset. So, they're 4-2 up, there are 6 rounds in this game, and they're still not stopping. inVision do have to back up the right strategies, though.
Is this Gully Wash? 6 rounds in 25 minutes?
Is this Highlander, I think, is the real question.
Is this the real Highlander? The
real
aggressive
Highlander
mid coming out from Feila here. They've taken the aggressive position, they forced Demos out. In fact, they forced him away from life. Evil gets the kill on Poker at the very least, but really... Oh, actually, yeah, that's going to trigger the aggression coming out from inVision now, who can afford to just walk across the point. And now, Layla and Feila in general are kind of sort of stuck. They are going to try and walk forward though, because there doesn't seem to be any pressure here, and that's because everyone's behind them. They have ×4 behind them. They're just going to get backcapped.
Well, I don't know, like, this wasn't so much of a backcap, because this was like the front, you know, from inVision, but the Feila combo went behind, I would say. But now we have this separated aggression onto their last band. Rez is trying to do something with his air blast against the hit scan class, will probably not work out in his favor, and definitely not for Tertio, who is into water and dies there. They pushed to the last point. I do have to question this play a bit though, by both teams, not to confuse myself.
Yeah, taking the fight there, if you're inVision, just means you're taking the fight closer to the spawn room of Feila. I know that they don't have long left to pull back these 2 rounds, you know, it's only 3 minutes 30 left pretty much. But you kind of need to stop and say, where do we really want to take the super exchange? And having it that close to a spawn room, probably not the best idea.
Yeah, kind of counter-beneficial to your cause. You just have to have a clear state of mind to just be very clear in your thoughts. That is Demos, who is jumping into a sniper sideline just after, before the sniper got headshot. So they kind of need to sync up a bit better on these flank routes, I feel like, to make this work for them. Poker was down as well. Crit Squeak is now used though by Tertio, and he's kind of getting his way up onto the equal percentage as Feila still has her Layla that is into their choke. They get these frags, you know, that is always crucial before an Uber, and we'll probably see if they can surprise them with this crit charge.
They're critting onto the scout, in fact, probably a good choice here, and they are going to lose Joe. But and the taunt coming out from Buri before he dies. But the solo Uber onto V-Clocks in return. Everyone's going to die to the close range Pyro. But what's even better than that is a close range heavy. D-Toad coming out from his hiding space and getting Feila Layla. It's an important kill, but with 2 minutes 30 on the clock, they really didn't want to lose their whole team with that attempted crits push.
They're just getting munched mega hard. Like, they're literally 7 players consistently dying. They try to do something here from Choke now. Murray walks in, gets a lot of damage onto Poker, and Rest follows that one up. He does get headshot there, and there's still this engineer into the Choke. He's still in. The Spamfest is DMing his thing and out of the air. And Menti dies as well to Porky. So, I mean, it's basically almost garbage time right now, because they have to do this in 2 minutes, and it takes like 1.5 minutes per each shot. V-Clocks gets piped into the air. They're both on crits right now, and it's gonna be garbage time. This is always really fun to watch on Highlander. Crits
v crits. Who can explode the other team first? That's the big question. At the moment, it's just turning into a DM fest. Layla and Joe just against the world as best they possibly can. Layla takes out the Saw, trying to win 1v1 against Vuri, who'll bleed to death. The laser beams come out to take down a mini sentry of all things. And I think the world's gone slightly mad.
I mean, you know, it's always the silence before the insanity, as there was right now the silence, then they completely wrecked each other apart, and they kind of had their crits onto a Pyro and onto the Heavy after that, and Layla just knew it wasn't worth it anymore to crits on their players, because she knew that she would be the best in the critical decision making, you know, and just went against the entire enemy team with the Ubersaw. But yeah, it's basically RIP GG for inVision right now, and Tertio is the only one having over 100 points though, so I think they do win in spirit.
Yeah, it's a points-based gameplay, isn't it? That's how I always thought it was. That's how pubs work anyway. Gotta get those cap points, you know. Offense engineer on payload is clearly the best thing in the world.
That is why locks are sometimes important, because then you can show them around and just see how much you did, you know. Yeah, there's literally... Okay, I can give you the amazing play-by-play. So there was a Pyro flaming down an spy, and then he once again jetpacks into the choke, and there's literally nobody, and pick classes exist in the game. So yeah, it's gonna be the first map. It's gonna be the first map to Feila. They do lose a lot of players though, and Wiethoofd does something again in the backlines. He's on last. We have to watch if he can maybe salvage that in the last second, and he's literally just sitting there, looking into the camera, saying 5-2, easy game.
Easy game. You wouldn't want to lose that 5th round, but realistically, it doesn't really matter. The last 2.5 minutes of that game were just people looking for them sick logs that I've heard about, but never actually experienced.
Well, because you only look on logs, like in essence, as a rule of thumb, if you are good on it, you know. That is how it works.
I love looking at my medic DPM numbers. Nothing better.
I mean, if they are higher than your heals per minute, I think that's the only way you have to worry about the logs. As I do think we are getting them pulled onto the screen. I try to find them in this complete mess that is right now.
Your life in general, Domaytoe. Your life.
I'm live?
No, your life is a mess. I have the logs up myself here, and they're going to tell me exactly what I thought it was going to tell me. And it's that the Feila flank did a huge amount of work. Both of them breaking 300 TPM, Crayon going 27 and 19, Middle 32 and 18. Huge stats coming out there, but Joe with the sweet 513 DPM, breaking 14,000 damage. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it is the typical Joe play. I usually say at this point that I'm not surprised by stats that are not over 1,000 damage per minute, because back in the day I played with Shaggy, but it's still a lot of damage, especially on Gullywash. Just look at the kind of kills he got. He got so many frags on the flank. Like, he literally annihilated the flank by himself in middle, got 7 sniper frags. Like, it's just the split up aggression between the two, you know, like these spam classes are just so incredibly work well together. After that, it's Menti and Worry. You see, like, the flank, it actually did put in a huge amount of work, but it was just not enough to actually make up for that. Toshi a slight bit more heals than Layla, and actually never dropped, while Feila and Layla dropped once. And she also got 3 fewer charges, but in the end, that didn't 100% matter. And to be quite fair, Toshi also got some charges when he got an Ubersaw against the entire enemy team and tried to waddle his way back to their spawn.
I really hope someone got a clip of that. That was it was a nice attempt, but realistically, you should hit the kill binds as soon as you get that Uber, because ain't no way you're going to be able to escape from that situation he found himself in.
It's not even
Yeah, go on, sorry.
No, I was just about to say, even if you look at the kills, like, the kills are so equal. Like, it's 180 for inVision to 193. I mean, that's 13 more kills, you know, over the course of half an hour, and that doesn't translate to 3 more rounds. So it was kind of equal of points given out. So interesting. It was just 2 aggressive teams against each other.
I mean, you call it aggressive, but at times it was very disjointed. And, you know, in games like that where players are all over the place, post-Uber fights are a complete mess. They're fights that the flank classes and Scout and Soldier really enjoy fighting in. And, you know, Crayon and Middle and Vuri and Menti really did a fantastic job of that. But I think that's, again, a bit indicative of the fact that it was a very disjointed game in general. I'm interested to see how that will translate to both teams' approach to Coal Plant.
The good thing about Coal Plant is we have only 1 point instead of 5 points. You know, there is not so much you can split your attention up to. I don't want to be too plain about this map, but as we've seen it in back in the day, like when just Feila played it, you know, they literally just stood right side on their ramp, and we'll see if they have a counter to one team staying on the right side and literally denying every damage coming onto your players or any aggression coming in.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of teams do also play then on their own left side, which it works on the Asheville version of this map, but I mean, this is Sightline City, baby, and you want to be protecting your sniper as best you possibly can. You can kind of do that better from the ramp side. You can then Uber in through under, do some other shenanigans. There are lots of ways of approaching this map, and I dislike all of them, so we're going to see how that goes.
And they all involve your sniper carrying. I think that is why, well, you kind of dislike this as a medic man, I would say so anyway. And if you watch though, I mean, they don't always involve your sniper just carrying, but it does help a great deal, you know, on this map, I found. The flank is important here as well though, and seeing that Menti and Worry actually did do a very like a lot. What do you think is the Bane concept that they need to switch up? Do you think they are like inVision of flourishing a bit more when it gets even more chaotic, even though I don't know if that's possible, or if Feila would like it even more chaotic?
I think what inVision need to do first and foremost is sort out their timing of pushes and when they're pushing in and how they're going to push in, because when it's a messy post-Uber fight from a fight they started, it didn't seem to go very well on Gullywash, whereas if it was the other way around, if Feila had taken a fight that was a bit questionable, it was then that Vuri and Menti are able to do a huge amount of work. So I think they need to sort out their timing of Uber pushes. I think they need to make sure that they protect Tercio as best they possibly can, and just see where they can go from there. Getting control of a mini sentry as well, killing the mini sentry is vital for allowing your flank to do work on this map.
Yeah, I found that as well. When you play Pax or something and you just put your mini behind the shutter and then you just open the shutter and everybody worries why you literally wipe to a mini sentry engineer from main, you know, it's the best feeling in the world. So they definitely have to watch out for that one. As we mentioned before though, the snipers do essentially do a lot, but looking at the logs a bit before, and I feel like the snipers didn't have that much impact in it per se. I mean, Gullywash is not really mean to have like scene influence, you know, like they don't get so many picks because the sidelines are quite clear cut, so they're literally just passively denying space instead of getting like massive kill streaks. On this map though, it can definitely help snipers a bit more, and seeing the spies also being a fair bit down, and I feel like what you just said, like they're a bit uncoordinated in their combo as well. Like Demos I think is definitely like capable, but having his merc qualities in there should make it a bit harder for them in the comms in the combo.
Of course, I actually completely forgot that he was a merc, to be honest. And maybe that does translate to why some of their pushes on Gullywash maybe weren't as smooth as they would have liked. But on a map like this, you know, it's more about once you're standing in the right place, and then once you're standing in the right place, it's doing the damage, hitting the shots, being the DM gods that these people all are.
Also, forward holds very prominent these days. How much do you like forward holds as a medic, staying on the right side while you have absolutely no protection from a sniper peeking from balcony? I mean, you do have the wooden thing, but you have to back out at some point.
It's scary. It's it's a very scary idea, but it does work very well because, you know, Product has its own version of a forward hold that you can do every now and then if you happen to get the good circumstances for it. And if this map was literally just about the point, then I don't think it would be worth including in the map pool at all. But because now people have figured out that forward holds are a thing, at least gives a bit more variety to how this map is played.
I don't even, like, when we see nowadays, sometimes when Ubers are not 100% on point in the literal meaning of words and it doesn't like work the best, that doesn't matter so much sometimes, even though this is Prem, so you should make the optimal in theory out of your Ubers. But the main breaking point, especially sometimes for a bit lower teams, just to give this advice in, is even if you get forced and stuff like that, it isn't the end of the world. The end of the world is if you overcommit to make a fantastic play out of that, because this will not happen and you will overextend into enemy players, into enemy gamers. I just did a euphemism, a neologism of players and enemies. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, like Gamma, when you walk forward, you know, then sometimes people are just undisciplined and die, and that is when the real breaking points start of your hold.
And you would expect Prem players to have the discipline to be able to
that happens
be in the right places.
Way more than you might think. That people are sometimes not as disciplined as they could be.
I mean, that Gullywash game was pretty much the definition of that, I would wager. Quite a lot of players all over the place for whatever reasons.
As we hear, by the way, yeah, there Pyro is joining back. He was restarting his internet because it probably got burnt down because he was just heating up his performance so hard, you know. They're just playing right now. Amazing DM match, what we can see in this pre-game. who reigns superior. Doesn't really matter. What is your favorite story on this map before we go live?
My favorite story?
Yes. There's always
things that have happened to me.
Or that you made happen to other people. Yeah.
I remember dropping a vaccinator medic with crits once. That's pretty much it, I think. I don't think I've anything else that's of note for this map, because it's just not enjoyable. I don't like it.
I imagine playing it after a long time and holding on this, we have to watch this ramp on the left, or like wherever you want to see it, and then they come through the roof, and there was a sniper. He was somehow on there, threw a Jarretti at me, then came with me at the bushwhacker and dropped me because I didn't know before the game that I had my casters config and I didn't have my Uber popping bind. That's my favorite story of this map. So, that is how you get put into frag movies. And we are going live, though. That was absolutely no filler at all. We'll see. Layla did have her Uber bounded, but we'll see if they can use in time, as they are completely equal. They do swap the teams, though, the sides, that is. We'll have to watch, as I already see Wiethoofd is on the jetpack and both spies are meeting invisible on the point.
Both teams mirroring each other at the moment. Feila are the first ones to commit to go under the point. Was it spotted? It was. Rez has seen them, starting to air blast them away a little bit as best as he can. They're going to start focusing underneath the point there. They managed to get Porky with Evil. No sniper now to counteract Stingin, but it doesn't matter because Stingin's also dead. There's a spy directly above the combo right now, but they've just managed to stay alive underneath this point somehow. They do, and cast his curse. Poker goes down as soon as I say that, and Layla's getting chased on 7 HP, trying to run away from the spy. Evil just gunning her down. Rip in pieces.
Poker kills everything is the kind of summary of the first 20 seconds, and after that he gets killed and then they get chased and they both lose their medics. Menti does jump in, kill Joe, so there's already early pick advantage for them once again, while they can just instantly recap this point. And the advantage they had to losing the point is that their med spawned earlier, so they have the slight 20% advantage, and see if that actually favors them, because it's important to have an early grip onto this map against Feila.
It looked like Poker was trying to fight that point alone. It just didn't really make sense to me, but the point you made before the game about overextension, Demos walking forward with absolutely no support and dies.
Hello, Headshot. Yeah, that is what opens this up, and they still have this 80% advantage, which means they can literally, if they protect their medic, as this, everyone in middle jumps in, gets a 2k, flings Tertio up into the air, and then he gets body shot. It looked so well for them, and it literally went to garbage in the matter of like 5 seconds.
Oh, the only Detoad looked like he was going to be the only survivor, but in fact, it's only Demos with the late respawn after his last overextension is going to burn out, actually, doing the exact same thing. But that was a very well executed set of bombs coming out from Feila to kill Tertio, and that aggression actually, because everyone was clumped on that left-hand side, it's very easy to just wipe them all up.
So how you do this is you split your players a bit more fast, loose and easy up, and get them just within the reach of the healing beam, so that means you can sniff out early suiciders who don't have the heals onto them, so you basically stop early aggression into their tracks in these bomb rushes. They do lose demos right now, which doesn't enable them, like inhibits them essentially to push forward and dry push this, which means Feila does have one full 100% right now, and they do have 40% this ad, as there's just this airshot showdown going onto their balcony as they all die to a sticky trap and a scout rushing in, so they have to watch out that Tertio doesn't get forced here or something, They're just ticking the time down for Feila right now.
There's some good pressure coming out from Crayon in middle, good spam coming out as well from Joe, just really putting a huge amount of pressure on that whole balcony area, the whole right hand side for inVision. And it just seems to be a little bit of indecision about what they want to do here. They're going to finally do something here. They're going to be forced really, really early. Rez is going to be flashed to go forward and burn, but it's Uber's just going to be soloed onto the Russian man, who's just going to shoot them, force them all away. Menti coming in with a counter bomb to do something, but it's not really going to do anything except accomplish getting his own medic to half HP.
They lose their vital players far too easy and too often against Feila. That's the issue. You need to have better routes, taking them as they're flanking Poker through under right now, just getting behind them. Wiethoofd is flung into the air. He should probably go down. He's 30 HP. Yeah, there he goes. Dies to Menti. Menti gets headshot in the retaliation end of that. There's still Mezzo in on Tertio, and he does scam out. But the thing is, they still haven't kept, you know, like they are 2 minutes ahead now, Feila, and they just lost so many players, and that's the Feila playstyle. That's the issue. You need to be quick in these rotations, and you need to get a lot of picks. Like, get on this point, get fast on this point, and just get your health advantage up, which is basically all you can hope for.
They actually were building a level 3 sentry in Shutter with Spamfest, but Evil managed to put enough pressure on it, kill Spamfest, and it eventually goes down with a bit of spam. But if they'd managed to actually get that sentry up in Shutter, I think that would have been absolutely curtains for inVision in this round. As it is, they still have to hold this point for 2 whole minutes to see this out. Uber coming in on Joe.
It was literally over by the time they just sent there, but they still do get every frag because Wiethoofd's this jetpacking in was so important to force all this flashing onto them, and they actually make up for them using really early and flashing 2 players. So it's literally only Tertio surviving. Layla did go down, but she'll probably spawn and don't have this much of a deficit. She's actually spawning on the crit streak, so that means they're so comfortable. They know that they can build this in time for them to push on this point once again. Then they get the frags, and even if they do lose the point, it doesn't matter because they can just instantly repush with having faster spawns up. Man,
and with that, 10
difficult.
seconds left on the point here, they're going to need to start forcing the issue now. Just that level 3 sentry and Shutter, like I said, just watching over it, everyone's just gonna go there, and that's some nice work from Middle and Crayon coming in around the back and getting the important kills, keeping them off the points. And that was very decisive from Feila.
They didn't lose a single player on that, and they got the wipe. I was about to say, like what I was saying, when you get the crits, then this can definitely make this work in the strategical part, but in the end you can just flank them from behind and have a level 2 or level 3 wrangled into your main and then wipe them just completely off charge, so that works as well. Evil does get flamed upon a bit, so he has to delay his rollout onto the left side. We have to watch both sides, as both sides are occupied, was really important. Stingen gets the early pick onto Joe, and they do get Crayon now, so they can literally walk a bit more fast, loose and easy towards this point, and just don't sit there and wait for you to be initiated on that. Trying to do something here from lower, Feila and Poker, that is.
I don't think that works quite as well when they lost Joe. It's a good headshot from Stingen as Joe is trying to cross the point. It's laser beams coming out from Poker. I forgot to point out that Layla was still on that crits charge. I didn't think they'd use it on the heavy, but apparently they did. The flank coming in from the jetpack man himself. Wiethoofd cleaning up the last few kills. Crucially, they did get Tertio as one of the first kills from the laser memes.
Really nice to see, seeing Poker the seasons before, where he only, when Joe just gets all the heals, and Poker sometimes has to get baited for that. Now Joe gets headshot, and we see how Poker does get his retribution for that one, as he gets 3 or 4k with laser beams all across the map as a heavy and kills the enemy medic as well in the process. So interesting strategy, and works in your favor once again. So every time I think they do get these advantages, Feila just completely putting them into the trash bin.
Tertio is standing all the way back. He does not want to peek out of here without getting Uber first, because they must know that Feila have the crits charge now. They're just looking. Joe's trying to see where they are, trying to see if he can get maybe a lucky sticky or two. They're going to use really early on Tertio here, but they don't find the enemy combo at all because they're all underneath the point. I don't know if they realize this. They're going to come up with laser memes in behind them if they're not careful, but they're losing players. They're not even going to get the cap at this rate.
Spellfest is there as well. He's just playing alongside him because he has his Frontier Justice crits. Demos is still spawn camping, that is, on their spawn, so I'm not 100% sure what he's doing. He's dying now for that. Joe stepping up and saying, who is the superior Highlander demo man right now? It is me, I think, and he's putting his early remark in the game. I mean, early remark in this map, I should say. They still have this 60% advantage on the crits, and they just get so many frags once again, It just enables them to get so much ground into them and literally do their strategies. Like, they're unquestioned right now. They can literally do anything they want.
They don't even need to use those crits to get the picks, and that's the worrying thing for inVision at the moment. They need to stabilize and stop these players from constantly flanking them, constantly putting so much pressure on them. Tertio at 80% now on the stock Uber charge as well. Feila are still under the point, just waiting for them to come up, and here it comes. Tertio just about gets it. just in time before they push, and Layla actually drops or dies almost immediately to Stingin anyway after their attempted crits push from underneath. That story has been overplayed a bit too much. They knew what to expect.
Good for my nerves, honestly, because I was literally expecting like the heavy 9k or something on the point, and then I probably would have gotten post-traumatic, you know, PTSD. Yes, exactly, Wiethoofd, that is what the correct term is for that. They're trying to play this off here, but the thing is, like, they're always put on the back foot, you know, like, there's not so much you can do. They still do own the point, but they have to sniff out picks early. They do get poker, they do get actually some picks, but Stingin dies, and Demos is so disconnected as well. He's on the left side. Tertio dies to a body shot. That is the end of the midpoint story.
Oh, Menti with the bomb onto Layla. Oh, the reflect kill. Vuri doesn't see Layla, accidentally runs into her and gets the kill. She was so weak too. Oh man, accidental medic kills, best kind. They have that level 3 sentry and Shudder now though.
That was fantastic. Nobody did see him. Like, Layla didn't see the Scout, and the Scout didn't even see Layla because he just committed to the sniper and then literally just turned around, and I could just imagine him accidentally clicking his left mouse, and then Layla dies. Yeah, unlucky is what you have a bind for in that scenario. Crayon is getting the upper hand onto Menti, so they're getting early picks onto the flank once again, which completely inhibits Feila trying to fight this. So be quick, you know, you don't want them to have overtime.
Porky out DM Stingin. Easy mode gets the sniper kill, and Porky just watching that point. It's so hard for them to do anything. They managed to get the cap with Demos just sitting on it. Poker's flanking, they don't know it yet. He's going to be called out now, and he's just going to return to his cave.
They do have full Uber now against Quick Fix, as Layla does spawn on that one. They can literally just throw their players in like easily 6 to 7 times right now if they just do that, and they literally only have to cap once, and it's probably just pretty much going to be over. They're trying to just get all these superior heals onto the left position and fight for them to just completely clump them into this low ground, you know. And now they have to commit to that. They have to use this Uber. Let's see if they can make something work. They probably get Layla trapped out here, and that was the kind of first suicide wave to just get this force out. It isn't the end of the world for Feila. It's important to see how inVision plays this now.
They're actually losing a lot of players in the course of being forced like that. Mezzo gets to put her knife on Nip Nup way back when. But now, with 45 seconds left, have they stayed with Crit Fix? I think they did.
Yeah, that's even, like, see, like now VClux comes in. Even if they commit literally their entire team to that, that's just completely normal for them. Because after that, they just have fast spawns, they fly in with Layla, and they get everything killed.
God damn, that was brutal. Absolutely brutal bomb wave coming out. Bring your medic to work day.
Yeah, and bring a medic to respawn, but doesn't matter. Layla is used to that.
Man, that was a really dominant voice crack. Really dominant end to the map there. Oh no, sorry, 2-0. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, don't spoil it, and just know that we are already ahead. No, this is now the time for inVision to make a comeback, because otherwise they're getting literally no points out of that, and Feila will still remain unbeaten, as they are going to have to come to their first lost there as Joel dies on the inVision side, but Tertio does as well. Like, there's aggression on the right side of the point. VClux flying in, so many picks coming in, but should favor Feila, but they don't feel comfortable actually holding this and fighting this forward, as Mezzo gets the pick onto Demos.
In the process of going for that bomb wave, they did actually lose a lot of players. They're respawning now. They might be able to take the point now if they feel like it. They do have that huge Uberad actually. They mightn't for very long. Layla, so weak. 15 HP on the battlements. But now that they've all respawned, they can see about taking this point there.
Yeah, they're just flooding here now, completely unquestioned, and that is the issue. Like, what Feila would inversely do if that would be inVision, they would just completely walk forward here and put so much pressure onto them, which is what Menti is doing. He's forcing them. He has the right idea. You see, like, he is a former Feila player because he is exactly playing how Feila would have played this. But you can see that this entire team was so passive. They could have made so much more out of that. Wiethoofd even gives a sword to Layla and just dies in the under area, but they're just giving him so much respect, way too much respect. basically.
I mean, not even that. You know that a Pyro is going to be bombing you at the start of every round. Surely you need to be reacting to it a little bit better by now. They are going to go aggro now, but they do lose Tercio. Nobody looking at the skies. Middle taking the high ground, shooting down at the feet. Easy medic kill for him. He's cleaning up 2 or 3 altogether. Vuri and Menti looking for revenge. They only find their own deaths.
And now Joe dies. They do get like these little sparkles of hope. The issue is they need to have their Uber fights to be way more decisive, but they are kind of not decisive, and that means they are trying to bash their head against the wall, which means Layla does die somewhere, probably stepped from an A, face stepped hopefully, because that looks good on the camera, and they're still fighting towards this, but they don't have their game plan set right now. It's literally just them banging head against the wall. Now they're getting forced into this low ground. Joe walks in absolutely for free. That's Wiethoofd comes from the top, flames everyone down. They don't have an answer to that, you know, aggression.
For the love of God, man, they need to start playing on the opposite side at this point so badly. It's clear that they can't deny the bombs, that they know we're coming. They know Wiethoofd is using that. He's been using that all goddamn game. If you can't stop those bombs, you need to switch sides. Get a mini sentry up to keep your medic alive when all those bombers come in like that. That's why Joe went so aggressive, because he knew if he went aggressive, no one would be looking for Wiethoofd. And Tercio just dies again, Mezzo this time.
Wiethoofd just said it was face step. I just saw that. Tercio just turned his back to the spy. That is what is not a broken mechanic. It is what Tercio is just succumbing to his death because he knew that would happen. Now there comes a crit streak on the front as well. Because there are no face steps in this game, by the way. Just wanting to point this out. Our skill. That right now just wrapping about with Poker on the front side. And you know, like that's the issue. They don't have an answer this entire game. It's just so decisive. It's just gotten so much more comfortable for Feila as the game progressed.
Whenever Feila want to go aggressive, they can, they do, and they get all the kills. Because there's, as you say, there is no answer. It's like inVision didn't see this coming. And that's maybe fine the first time, but when it happens the second, the third, the fourth time, you need to be asking some questions.
I mean, this is a newly formed team, Feila. How can you predict that Feila will play like this?
Yeah, Feila, I've never heard of these people before, personally.
And right now they literally, and they do get the flank down, and Poker now gets crits popped onto him. They can't deal with him. He's just standing there and laser beaming everyone down. He's literally a Star Destroyer right now, just getting so much damage into all these rebels trying to do something about him. They completely swarm it. It takes 4 players to kill Poker. They do get this, but there's still so much like behind in the time stakes.
Again, it's basically a mirror of the last rounds. They could never really get a foothold and a solid push-up. They got absolutely annihilated by aggression, but they now again have to hold this point for 2 minutes, and you would think Feila can just do exactly what they did last time. They can just stack for the point, bait them all in, over and over and over again until it works. Here comes the Uber.
Well, the Uber is literally a force. It was literally just, I mean, they do get probably Layla off that. Yeah, she gets chased and killed by Vuri, so do not worry about this. She does claw that one back. Should be a bit too late though, as Giorgio even dies on the back end. It was so incredibly easy for middle. If you watched it before, he literally jumped on top, one not why nobody was contesting him, and just dropped into a medic that was almost completely by himself, and then literally just got the force out, you know. Now there are 4 players and 5 players down onto long respawn waves, and they can literally just push into this once again, and they even have a wrangled level 3 as a backup into their main.
Before the game, he talked about the dangers of overextending during Ubers on this map, and I think you just saw exactly that right there. Overextended, they lose their medic, they get baited entirely off a pretty easy force, and now with only 30 seconds left, there is a level 3 sentry in the shutters, there's an Uber ad for Feila. This looks pretty grim for inVision.
Tercio does surf though, and that is some last lightning round as he gets flamed upon as a reward for that one. I don't like just watching this. I wouldn't be very happy myself if I would just play flamed down by a pyro like that. Stinghand does go down to Porky, so that should cement this cap probably going to in the favor of Feila, as they are just having so much potential once again. Like Crayon in middle, they're just on this top right balcony. They get like 5 frags or something. There's no counter to this game whatsoever to all these strategies. It's a 3-0 sweep onto Kaoplan, and just as you said, like they sweeped over that map and they just completely annihilated them off that. So 6-0 for Feila, still unbeaten, and inVision succumb to their first loss of the season and quite a decisive one as well.
Just want to quietly interject there. I definitely did not see Layla using crits at the very last second, so it wouldn't show up as a drop on the logs.
Okay.
That definitely didn't happen. But yes, that was incredibly dominant, and I think it kind of says a lot for who the favourites to winning this season rightfully are.
If other people who you would have expected to be a bit more, putting in the performances like SCCK can't just strengthen their hand, then definitely does add up to them being the favorites here. That is Feila. So we just quickly take a look at the logs. And the funny fact about this 3-0 sweep is, just for everyone, please completely put that into your mind and never forget, these logs don't actually, if you look at the bear kills, don't tell you that it's like 25 frags. Okay, that's still a bit, that's a bit more than not so much. Amazing wording right there, but it's not so much, it's not like a 3-0 sweep. That isn't representative at all. I like logs. Time to completely bash that. Both medics even have both kind of equal healing stats, but an even kind of equal Uber, even though Feila probably later even has like 2 or 3 more crit charges if you just account it, that they do build a bit more faster than the other ones. Then after that you have Poker, Crane and Proki both on top, just sitting there. I mean, Poker having received all the benefits of the crits charges going onto him, so these logs don't show so much. But do you see any other storyline here, Gamma?
Yeah, I see Crayon going 27 and 18 and hitting 430 GPM. Oh man, that's disgusting. But this is a map where if you allow an enemy flank to go crazy, a good scout is going to do that sort of damage to you. That was insane work from Crayon. He always timed his forays, as it were, into the inVision team at the exact right time when they're all half HP, they're all fighting someone else. He just can land on top of their heads, meat shot 1 or 2 people, and run away having won the game for his team, as it were. It's interesting to see Joe's stats. Maybe not quite so amazing because he never got the crits charges. It was always on the laser beams.
That's what happens when you walk into sniper sidelines consistently, Finally, Poker did get his retribution for that one, because usually he's the one suffering from that. After that, though, we just see that pick classes weren't dominant in this game whatsoever. Like, this game was completely dominated by this aggression going forward, especially of this flank and spam classes. So anything else you see, because I think that is this is literally the I can sum up this. I don't know how long this game took, but we have far more aggressive and DM-wise players that completely wreck apart everyone with our strategies. So yeah, Gamma, do you have anything to add to this very plain strategy?
It's been a while since I've seen a cold bank game not dominated by pick classes, I suppose, and it's refreshing to see the bombing strategies that Feila brought out, because it shows that there are always new and different ways of playing maps. And for the love of God, please ban the jetpack. Thank you.
With these wonderful, remarkable works, we are wrapping this up. You have been watching inVision versus Feila in the 4th week of the ETF2L season 17. That is most probably, I hope I'm not incorrect. So we quickly will also introduce you what is going to happen in the near future onto Critscast, as we do have the last week of ETF2L coming up. It is the last week before the playoffs, which is week 5. Afterwards, we do have a little break. Everyone can get very festive because we do have the holiday season, and then we will cover the playoffs going into the new year with fresh blood, and everyone is getting their hopes high to hopefully go for that sweet title. We are also going to cover 3 upcoming UGC games, as we are still into the kind of closing quarters of the playoffs. And that will be tomorrow on the Monday, because this is where UGC plays. After that, probably on a Thursday, I could imagine. And then after that, you'll have a grand final. But you just have to stay tuned for that one and watch closely, linger around onto Critscast, as we will give you all the action, as well as we have on the 15th and 16th of December. We have a very nice just charity event coming up. It is the TF2 Connect special for the special effect. That is, they're raising their money, so get your pockets open. It is the time of giving and supporting all these good causes, especially in the spirit of Christmas. So we have a very, very lot coming up for you. That was not correct grammar, but I don't care, because it's just so festive right now. everyone is getting happy, you know. You just have to watch closely. We have so much TF2 action for you, and that was it from us tonight. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you next time, as I hope you do have a wonderful remaining Sunday evening.